All right, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Today, Dave and I will be reviewing Avengers Infinity War with spoilers. And remember, if you like what you see, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell so you'll be notified of future videos.
In time, you will know what it's like to lose. To feel so desperately that you're right, yet to fail all the same. Dread it. Run from it. Destiny still arrives.
Okay, so let's start off with performances as usual. I mean, everyone was good. Josh Brolin as Thanos, and all the little
Spit it out, Junior.
all the little facial expressions that got to come through the CGI were incredible. I mean, you can actually feel what he might be feeling inside. He's not, in his mind, he's not a bad guy. As almost good villains are. You can actually probably see their point of view. I can't see it, Thanos' point of view, but he actually has a background to why he thinks that way.
And I think, performance-wise, everyone was great. But Josh Brolin and the CGI team that worked on this film, I mean, they deserve an Oscar. That was, his facial expressions, like you said, were just spot on. I mean, when he was sacrificing Gamora to get the Soul Stone, he looked like he was in pain. That was just a tremendous job, and they, you can't say enough about how good they did.
Yeah.
Fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe. But this does put a smile on my face.
Okay, the plot for this film, to me, was pretty much damn near perfect. I mean, it was serialized, it was bringing in a lot of other elements from all the other movies, but as long as you had seen all the movies, like, we did with our Road to Infinity War, I mean, it had so many characters, so many things going on, never felt rushed, always seemed to be perfect pace, and everything just worked out perfectly. I mean, can't say enough good things. It was full of surprises. They threw a couple, things in the trailer that never came out. Like when you see the Hulk running in Wakanda,
right,
you're like, he's going to bust out any moment now, and he never did. And remember, this is spoiler filled, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, you probably don't want to watch this video. Watch our other review where we don't give any spoilers.
Right.
But, so many theories were wrong in this movie, like Hemdall being the Soul Stone, Iron Man being the Soul Stone, Peter Dinklage as Pip the Troll. I mean, so much. The Russos got everything right in this movie.
Yeah.
Perfect film. They threw enough curveballs at you that worked, and they pretty much kept us on our feet. Even with when he's pushing, when he's fighting Captain America with the glove that you see in the trailer, and he only has the power and the Space Stone. But we know, seeing the movie, he has all of them except for the Time Stone at that point. So just enough little tricks in the trailer to throw you off.
All except for the Mind Stone at that time.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the last stone he got.
All except the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
And it's hard to get that many characters in to do all their shtick and to get it into there. And then you got to really appreciate, if you saw it once, like the first time I saw it, I thought, man, I wish, everybody had more time. It's hard to fit all that into the amount of time that they had. And then I saw it the second time, and I said, all right, that's a good amount. They seem to balance it very well. And the third time, I caught a lot of stuff I didn't catch, the first and second time, and it all just seemed, the more you see it, the more you see of each character that you like.
And talking about characters, each character was them. Guardians didn't change because the Russos were directing it and James Gunn. And I know James Gunn helped write the dialogue, but Iron Man was Iron Man.
Yeah.
Cap was Cap, or Nomad, whatever his name is. Everyone was just perfectly written and executed in this film. I didn't think they were going to be able to pull this off, and absolutely incredible.
I saw, James Gunn had tweeted about the New Yorker saying that, they didn't develop the characters enough. And he's right with his response. That's how they make movies these days. It leads up to the thing. You don't have to reestablish the character. He's been established through, probably at least three or four movies by now. So they just need to continue being themselves. So I don't have any credence to, that no character development. It was already developed. And everything they did was, in line with what that character would.
Yeah, but if they're going to look at it as a standalone film, I understand the criticism.
Right,
but you can't look at this film as a standalone because it's, what, 19?
This is number 19.
You have to appreciate what's come before it because it's a different kind of storytelling than just one movie.
Yeah.
Who the hell are you guys?
Other items of note, I love how they balanced the comedy, the drama, and like from 1 minute to the next, like you're upset because somebody dies, and then you're laughing at the next thing that somebody says. It's just
And that was
well
the thing
balanced.
too. It started off with Loki and Heimdall dying. They set the stakes high right away.
Yeah.
And there was jokes in it, but it wasn't a jokey movie. It was very intense. I mean, first time watching this, not knowing who's going to die or live, you were really on the edge of your seat, like, oh, geez, what's going to happen?
It was very high intensity all the way through. I know at the end there, at that last battle, I was like, shaking. All right, what's going to happen? Very intense, like you said. Like a few of the specific lines, like Peter Dinklage's line when they're in Thor's holding open the star so that they can make the new weapon, the Stormbreaker. Storm or Stone?
Stormbreaker.
Stormbreaker. And he's like, it will kill you. He goes, not if I die, only if I die. I said, yes, that's what killing you means. He delivered that line so perfectly. I mean, it's just, what do you got?
We got, the Hulk crashing into the Sanctum Sanctorum, which is Silver Surfer's role from the Infinity War comic, when he says Thanos is coming. And then it gets stated, I thought they did a really good job. They have talked about how the Hulk is going to have an arc over Thor Ragnarok, Infinity War, and Avengers 4, whatever that's going to be called. It's Infinity Gauntlet or Endgame. Who knows what it's going to be called at this point. We'll have theories on that on another video, but him having stage fright after getting beaten down by Thanos at the beginning of that in, the Asgardian ship, when I did like the callback to the first Avengers when Loki's, has the Tesseract in his hand. He's like, we've got a Hulk.
Yeah.
And he comes in and, looks like he's going to do okay. And then Thanos just, he's
Yeah.
got a little extra power with the, the Power Stone. So he puts the beat down on him and then Hulk won't come out again.
Right, he scared the crap out of him.
So we know that's going to conclude in the next movie for his little arc in the 3 movies. I like the fact that Strange and Stark don't like each other.
Yeah, who has the bigger ego? You
Yeah.
know, it's working out.
I thought that fit for both of them. I love when Thor got his new eye from Rocket. And Rocket's obsession with prosthetics and everything else. And I loved in the movie when they're in Wakanda at the end. And he's like, Winter Soldier standing there. He's like, hey, how much for the gun? It's not for sale. He goes, how much for the arm? And Winter Soldier just walks away and won't answer. He goes, oh, I'm getting that arm. And I don't know if, Rocket is so obsessed with prosthetics because, he was built.
Yeah.
He's even said,
That
I've been
makes sense.
taken apart and built so many times that I've lost count, or whatever the exact line was.
That was in the first Guardians.
Yeah, and I think that is why he keeps, acting like that. Wants the eye, wants the leg, wants the Winter Soldier's vibranium arm.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's carried over, and that character has stayed the same. And I love that Groot provided the handle for Stormbreaker. Really a good way for Groot to, do something very heroic, since teenage Groot
It was just kind of in the background.
yeah, just kind of a moody teen. It was nice to see him, provide to that, which made, talk about Thor being overpowered. That was awesome.
Oh, when he
showed
came
up
down
in
to Wakanda, and like when he said, "Yeah, oh, you guys are screwed now." I got that feeling too. I was like, "Yeah," and he just comes out and knocking over the Outriders, and then he just slams it on the ground and takes them all out. That was awesome. Such a great scene, and even at the end where he throws it at Thanos and sinks it into his chest, I thought, man, they are going to end it in this movie, But
that twice at the end of that movie, you think, okay, he's not going to snap his fingers and wipe out when Thor plants Stormbreaker in his chest.
Right.
But then he's like, you should have aimed for the head, which but also too, which was very foreshadowed in the beginning of the movie when Doctor Strange was talking about, the Time Stone is our best weapon against him, and Stark is like, it could also be his best weapon against us, which came to happen because Scarlet Witch, destroyed the Mind Stone. Thanos was like, yeah, whatever.
no big deal. I get it back.
Turned it back and got it, and when he pulled the Mind Stone out of Vision, it just kind of crushed him, and he lost his color, and just collapsed.
Yeah.
That was pretty
That's
intense
pretty
too. You're
intense.
like, damn. not the Vision too, but of course.
Of course, yeah. And what I was thinking, here's the first thing I thought when Groot gave up his arm. Well, he got it back, but he gave it up for the Stormbreaker. Was that, is he worthy? I guess that's just a Milner thing, so it's not Stormbreaker thing. But that that's kind of cool. That Groot would be worthy. Another thing, when he happens at the end, and I saw this in an article, and I'm thinking, well, it's just Thanos is not that kind of guy, but he's worried about everybody having enough in the universe. So he's going to wipe out half of them so that the resources are enough for everybody in the universe, right?
Yeah.
If he's so concerned about it, he's not really a humanitarian. Why don't he snap his fingers and double all the resources in the universe?
Yeah, and I like too that a lot of people's complaints in the about the movie was there's too many characters, and didn't they know that the villain was trying to ease that? He
Right.
wiped out half of them.
Right,
So
more
he,
than that.
Yeah, he's made the movie they wanted.
I think, who do they got left? I mean, do we have to can we list that here? Is that fair?
That's
Might be
probably too
going too
much.
far,
but we got the original Avengers. We got Rocket,
And like Black Widow.
Nebula.
Black
Black Widow was one of the original Avengers.
Well, she was in Iron Man 2. But Nebula, I think that she...
Well, she was in Iron Man 2, but the Avengers didn't form until the first Avengers movie.
True that.
So,
And no Hawkeye. But I think Nebula is going to play a bigger part in this by the time it's over in Part 4.
and we know from the comics that Nebula actually wields the Infinity Gauntlet at one point.
Mhm.
So maybe it is her that sort of brings everything back. But knowing the Russos, I don't think it's going to play out like in the
No.
comics when Adam Warlock took the Infinity Gauntlet and basically said, hey, everything's back to the way it was. I don't think it's going to play out that way. We'll get the people back
Yeah. I mean,
because they're not going to get rid of Black Panther, Spider-Man.
You can't eliminate
Scarlet
all
Witch.
those guys and just leave them gone.
But it's going to be different from the comics. They're going to throw us some curveballs that we're not expecting at this point. And I really can't wait to see it. Some of the other things that, we didn't see, when Thanos was using the Reality Stone in Nowhere for the Collector,
Mhm.
two things about that scene. First is, we don't actually see how he got it. Did the Collector just give it up to Thanos knowing, hey, you've already got 2 stones, I'm not messing with you, here it is, and got out of town?
See, I don't think so, because the place was a mess. It was on fire. He probably had to do some damage.
No, very possibly. And one of the funny things is that some of you may have noticed, I know I did, as an Arrested Development fan, Tobias Funke, played by David Cross, was in his Blue Man makeup in one of the cases.
Mhm.
And they actually thank Arrested Development in the credits, and I thought that was great. I love Arrested Development. David Cross is amazing, so it's great that Arrested Development is in the MCU. And another, when Scarlet Witch was forced to kill the Vision for nothing. She
Right.
went through all that. I mean, that must have been pretty, emotionally draining to her because, they start in the movie, they're having kind of a love affair, and then she has to kill him to save the universe for nothing.
You think
Because
about it.
Thanos just turned it back, grabbed it anyway, and had the ultimate power.
You think about it, everything they did was for nothing. All that emotional roller coaster they went through, all the great fight scenes, it was all for nothing. If you think about it that way.
Absolutely. And then, we know that Doctor Strange had said they only one time in all the 14 million visions he saw of the future did they win. So obviously he had to complete his mission so the Avengers could win in Avengers 4, which probably, we see him kind of just at the end smiling and watching the sun come up, which he told Doctor Strange he would do. Is he going to be complacent, which allow the Avengers to get the upper hand?
Well, and my theory is that he stopped him from killing Tony because he was the one person who could beat him in the end. That's just my theory. And then he gives him the stone.
Yeah, and we can definitely get into that more when
Yeah,
we
next
talk about
time.
Avengers 4 theories.
But maybe that's why.
And
he said this is the only way. Right before
Yep.
the end of the movie.
And then finally, and I know this was ad-lib, so I don't know if this was written this way, but Amy Emson, one of our subscribers, found this out, or noticed it, I certainly didn't, when Peter's last words were, "I don't want to go." That is the same as the 10th Doctor.
Doctor Who.
Yeah, Doctor Who, I can't...
David Tennant.
Yeah, David Tennant, I couldn't think of his name, said when he was regenerating. So I don't know if, it was done on purpose, if it was a shout-out to Doctor Who, or Tom Holland just happened to use those words that mimicked it. But that was a good catch by Amy. We appreciate that. So tell us what you think, everybody. Is there anything we missed that we didn't talk about? Leave us a comment. We're always willing to talk MCU and comic book movies in general. Okay, post-credit scene. I thought it was a great one. We see Nick Fury and Maria Hill. They're talking about the attack on Wakanda, saying the signatures for these things is it's 10 times or 100 times greater than it was before. And then the SUV kind of spins off in control. There's no one in the seat. People start disappearing. They were actually calling, God, I forget the character's name, but the guy from Winter Soldier who stood up to Rumlow, and then he was also in the helicarrier in Age of Ultron.
Oh, okay.
They're calling to him,
and
then they kind of get out, and Maria Hill disappears, and then Nick Fury is looking like he's using a pager from the 90s, which we now understand, because he's calling Captain Marvel. But as he starts disappearing, kind of cuts off on the classic Sam Jackson line, "Mother," and then he fades away.
Awesome. There were some people in my in my third time seeing it that didn't even wait for the extra credit scene. I don't understand that. What are you, rookie?
I mean, and it's great because we know Captain Marvel's coming out next March. We know it's set in the 90s, so she's already established where she's been since that time and how Nick Fury can contact her. We don't know yet, but you know what? We'll have a video. We'll talk about our theories for Captain Marvel, what she's been doing since the 90s, and how she's going to come and help Earth's Mightiest in Avengers 4.
Can hardly wait that 10 months until it comes out.
It's going to seem like forever.